All right, this lesson is on Illustrator, what it's used for, the interface, its panels, its palettes, and its tools. To get started, I just want to explain that Illustrator is a vector program. And what that means is that the way that the objects are created within the program are in the format of a path. And what this allows us to do is increase the size of an object or decrease the size of an object indefinitely, and you will not lose any quality. This is different than a raster program such as Photoshop, where if you have an image, you can only make it smaller, and even then you'll lose a little bit of quality, but you cannot make it bigger and not lose quality, okay? And to illustrate that to you, what we have here is a vector illustration. This is where all of these are the paths that I was referring to. All of these little paths were created in Illustrator, and they provide us the ability, I'm selecting everything, to grow this object indefinitely. It's very large, and you'll notice that I don't lose any quality. Even if I were to go very much bigger, it would be very crisp, very clear, everything that I'm looking at, okay? Now this one here is a raster object, and you'll notice if we select it and click on it, I cannot select anything else within it. It is a photograph. I know it's a photograph because I placed it in there of the same exact object, okay? And you notice that at the beginning they were both the same size. Now if I were to select this and grow it, okay, very large, you'll notice that instantly there's a difference. I haven't even gotten as big as this one, but you'll notice that instantly there is a difference in the quality of this photograph versus the vector illustration. Okay, so that is a primary difference between a vector illustration and something that's done in Photoshop, which is a raster. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and just delete these since they've served their purpose. Now, what is Illustrator used for? Illustrator is commonly used to design things like posters, things like postcards, basically single page documents, or maybe 1 or 2 pages, such as a poster that has 2 sides or a postcard that also has 2 sides. Basically, you don't use this program to design a book. There are layout programs for that. Now, Illustrator does have the function of artboards, where you can have multiple artboards, or what you might see as multiple pages or canvases that you can work on. However, those aren't for the purpose of designing a really long book. They're more for instances such as the back of the poster and the front of the poster. Most frequently, Illustrator is used to design things such as logos because they do need to have that ability to grow or shrink without loss of resolution, because a logo might be used in, say, something like a sign for a store or for a letterhead or a pen that's very small. So Illustrator is used for those types of logo illustrations. Now that you understand what Illustrator is about, we're going to kind of go over some of the basic panels and palettes that we're going to encounter in the program, some of the more important ones, and then we discuss in other videos other ones that come up along the way. So if we go up to the very top here, we have the menu bar, and in the menu bar you will find different menu options like File. In the File menu, you can open up documents, close documents, things of that nature here. In the Edit menu, you can edit things such as cutting and pasting objects in this palette. In the Object one, once you start building objects, you can start manipulating those objects further. The Type menu allows you to do many things, but one of the things that it can allow you to easily do is things like changing the font, changing the size. The Select menu allows you to select objects, but then also to arrange objects in the order that they lie on top of each other. The Effects menu, this is where you have all your filters, effects, drop shadows, that type of thing. Your View menu allows you to view invisible elements such as guidelines or rulers or bounding boxes, things that will aid you in the production of your design. Windows is where you can access all of your palettes. I'm going to go over some of the more important ones, and we'll notice that some of them are already selected. This is the color palette here, and this one allows you to select different colors as you're changing the colors in your composition. Okay. Another important one, if we go through this, is the Layers palette. That's probably the most important palette. The Layers palette is a palette that allows you to control the organization of your layers. This allows you to store anything that you draw within the program, all the different parts, all the different paths they're called. You can control the order in which they sit on top of one another. You can also name them so that they keep them more clearly organized within your file. We're going to have an entire lecture on layers, and we'll be looking at them more in depth to see how they can be a benefit when you are illustrating. Now, we also have the tool palette. The tool palette houses all of the tools that you're going to need when you are creating an illustration. Now, I'm not going to go through all of these tools because there'll be dedicated videos for each one, or at least for the ones that we'll be needing for this project. And so I won't waste time going over what all these tools do. Some of them may seem very intuitive to you, others may not. One thing I do want you guys to keep in mind is that the version of the programs change, and sometimes the tools change slightly. So some of the videos were recorded with a previous version of the software, and some of the tools may have slightly changed. Like, for example, they might look a little bit different, or they might be located in a different part of the panel, but they'll still be called the same and they'll still operate similarly. So those videos have not been re-recorded since the processes are the same. You'll just see a little bit of a difference in what you're seeing on the video versus what you might be seeing on your current version that you're using. But if the process or the tool has changed significantly in how it works, then the video will have been re-recorded with the newer version of the software. Okay, just something to keep in mind so you're not confused when you see something that looks a little bit different. All right. So for example, if we look at the arrows here at the top, this is the selection arrow and this is the direct selection arrow. And these are the ones from a previous version. The version for CC 2017 looks like these. So you'll notice they look somewhat similar and they operate the same. Okay, so those are just a couple of the tools that have changed. There's other ones amongst them, but if you ever get confused with any of the videos or things don't seem like they're working correctly, then please do bring it to my attention and I'll try to help you out, all right? Now for all of these tools, what you'll notice is if I select different tools, such as the pen tool or the type tool or the brush tool, the settings up here, if we look at this options panel here, you'll notice that as I click type, that changes and it gives me different options. So basically all of the tools have different options. So these are all the tools and these are all the options for those tools. Okay. All right. This concludes your lesson. If you have any questions, please be sure to contact me.